Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Tonight, inshaAllah, we will recite Surah Al-An'am in its entirety, beginning near the mid part of juz number 7 and then onwards into juz number 8. Surah Al-An'am is a very early surah, Meccan surah. It was revealed in Mecca, and the basic theme of Surah Al-An'am is introducing Allah. And we may think that that's something that's very basic. But as a litmus test, and you can try this at home, that if you had to speak about Allah for 5 minutes, can you do it or not? And a lot of us, we might struggle. Like, what do I say? Who is Allah? How do I introduce Allah? What do I know about Allah? Okay, I know that He created me, and I know that there is a day of judgment. What else do I know about Him? And so Surah Al-An'am, if you want to know who is Allah, why is Tawheed, the oneness of Allah, so important? Why is Shirk so dangerous? Surah Al-An'am is the perfect surah that you want to open up and you want to read. It's a Aqidah class, it's a belief theology class if you'd like. And very systematically, Allah Azza wa Jal talks about how He created light and darkness. He talks about scenes of the Day of Judgment, His ability to recreate and to bring back from the dead. And then He goes onwards till we get to the story of Ibrahim alayhi salam, who is the perfect example of the one who manifested Tawheed, who ensured that Allah's oneness is upheld. He stood up against shirk, idolatry. But to pick one ayah number 101, Allah Azza wa Jal describing Himself amongst all of these ayat, He says, Badi'u samawati wal ard. Badi'u samawati wal ard. Now, Badi' is a very interesting word. You could say it means creator, creator of the heavens and the earth. That's fairly simple. But the Prophet ﷺ, he was once with Anas radiallahu an, as is reported in the hadith of Abu Dawood, and he heard a man say, Allahumma inni as'aluka bi anna laka alhamd, la ilaha illa ant, ya mannan, ya badi'a as-samawati wal ard. He heard a man making dua, sitting after salah, and he said, Oh Allah, I ask you because for you is all hamd, all praise. There is no ilah except you. O badi'a as-samawati wal ard. O creator of the heavens and the earth. And the Prophet ﷺ, he was staring at this man, making this beautiful dua. And he turned to Anas and he said, this man, he made a dua to Allah with Allah's name, that when Allah is called upon with this name, Allah answers the person. Bismillah al-A'zam alladhi idha du'iya bihi ajab. When Allah is called out with this name, then Allah answers. And he also said in a narration of Al-Tabarani and others that we find that Surah Al-An'am is one of the very rare surahs that was revealed altogether. Because usually parts of a surah, passages are revealed, and then in sufficient time, the surah is completed. So what is this Badi' as-samawati wal ard? Bid'ah, we may have heard that term, right? And it comes up when someone does something that has no basis in Islam. Something that the Prophet ﷺ never taught, never recommended. There's no asl, there's no basis of it in the act or in the time of the Prophet ﷺ or in the companions. Badi' and bid'ah, they're similar because bid'ah is something that is new, it's innovated. It was never there before. Badi' is someone who creates بِغَيْرِ مِثَالٍ سَابِقٍ, as the scholars of tafsir say, without any previous model. Okay, let's break that down further. What does that mean? When we create, as a matter of fact, even if we say this is like an innovation, an invention, this is groundbreaking, there's a couple of things that are going on when we're humans. A, the idea and the inspiration is not our own, we borrow it from something else. Right? Like you see an interview of someone who invented something. I was in the plane, I saw this was a problem. And I saw this happening and I'm like, boom, the idea clicked in my head. Something inspired you. The idea was inspired by someone else or something else. Secondly, when you create that thing, the materials that you need are not your own. They're not created by you. Those materials are created by others or they're created by Allah. And so you then use those materials and then you finish your project. Third, the actual methodology is not yours either. Take architecture as an example, right? We see an architectural marvel and we look at it. But if you were to ask someone who actually knew about that architecture, they'll tell you that this isn't someone that just came out of it out of nowhere. This is not years, centuries of humans who worked hard at discovering how do we build like this? How do we beautify the building then like this? How is this possible? And so centuries, hundreds, thousands of people came, they used their brains, and they kept trial and error until they figured out one thing, and then another man came, he figured out something else, and then else and else. And then now you have this beautiful thing that's there. And the thing that it's used to create it with, that's all made by others or it's made by Allah. So the originality, is it really there? You could say compared to humans it's there. But what about if you compare it to Allah? Because Allah creates without any inspiration of an idea. There's no drawing board that Allah has to go back to. There's no R&D, research and development department that Allah has to go back to. The idea is not borrowed. The material is created by Allah Himself. Color is created by Allah Himself. Matter is created by Allah Himself. And then the methodology with or through which the person is created or the thing is created, there is no precedent. Allah originated, was the first to originate creation. And so when we think of whatever it is that we make, AI, ChatGPT, everyone all of a sudden knows how to write with perfect grammar, right? What is that? It is an accumulation of a lot of people who had been working, who trained this on models, on papers, on samples of writing, and then you have this beautiful piece of tech that's helping us all out. But the point is that Allah Azza wa Jal, whatever it is that is we find to be the most fascinating, Allah's creation is different. That is badi' as-samawati wal-ard. No borrowed ideas, no inspiration, no materials of others, no blueprints, no one to tell Him. Alone, He originates creation Himself. That is a beautiful concept, and that's why this person in his dua, he wasn't just saying badi' as-samawati wal-ard. When he's saying, Ya badi' as-samawati wal-ard, the Prophet ﷺ saw that this man in his dua, he's using to call out to Allah through that. And that's the beauty of a dua that's centered in one of Allah's names. And so we learn from this our limitations as humans, Allah's greatness, and we hope that through Surah Al-An'am, encourage you all to read, look through it inshaAllah, our knowledge of who Allah is grows and it becomes a center part of our iman that is unshakable bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.